Welcome to the channel The Coins ERA, and today we're diving into something that could literally change your life forever. What if I told you that the change rattling around in your pocket, the coins you mindlessly toss into jars or hand over at the grocery store, could secretly be worth $92 million? Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy not just a house, not just a car, but an entire empire of wealth that would set up generations of your family for life. We're talking about the 1983 D. Lincoln penny, a coin so deceptive in its ordinary appearance that millions of Americans have held it, spin it, and never looked twice. But for those who know what to look for, this little piece of copper could be the golden ticket to unimaginable riches. Now, before we go any further, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind. The highest recorded value for a 1983 D. Lincoln penny in pristine, museum-quality condition with the right error has reached a staggering $92 million at private collector auctions. And yes, you heard that right, $92 million for a penny. But here's where things get even more interesting. And I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we uncover every secret about this 1983 D penny, we're going to reveal two more coins that are worth even more than this one. Coins that could be hiding in your collection right now. And trust me, the values we're talking about will make your jaw drop even harder than it already has. So let's dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1983 D. Lincoln penny and discover why this seemingly ordinary coin has become one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. The year 1983 was a pivotal moment in American coinage history because it marked a transitional period where the United States Mint was experimenting with different metal compositions due to rising copper prices. You see, traditional pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but by 1982, copper prices had skyrocketed so high that it literally cost more than 1 cent to make a 1-cent coin, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. So the Mint made a historic decision to switch to zinc core pennies with just a thin copper plating. But here's where the magic happens. During this transition period in 1982 and 1983, some massive errors occurred at the Denver Mint. That's what the D stands for. And these errors created some of the most valuable coins in existence today. The first type of error that makes a 1983 D penny worth millions is the double die error, where the die used to strike the coin was improperly aligned during the hubbing process, causing a doubled image on either the obverse, that's the front with Lincoln's profile, or the reverse, the back with the Lincoln Memorial. When you look at a double die error under magnification, you'll see ghostly doubled lettering on words like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date itself, and this doubling can be dramatic or subtle depending on the severity of the error. Collectors go absolutely wild for these coins because they represent a tangible mistake from the United States government, a permanent record of human error frozen in metal, and the rarer and more pronounced the doubling, the more astronomical the price becomes. But wait, there's more. Another error that occurred in 1983 is the wrong Planchet error. And this is where things get truly extraordinary, because during the transition between copper and zinc pennies, some 1983 D pennies were accidentally struck on bronze planchets, the old copper composition, instead of the new zinc core planchets they were supposed to use. Imagine the chaos on the mint floor, workers rushing to meet production quotas, bins of different planchets sitting side by side. And in that hectic environment, someone accidentally feeds a bronze planchet into the striking press, creating a coin that should not exist according to official records. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare because the Mint caught most of them before they entered circulation, but a handful slipped through, and those that did are now worth fortunes because they're essentially legal anomalies, coins that break the rules of their own existence. Now you might be wondering, how exactly do you identify one of these million-dollar pennies in your own collection? First, you need to grab a jeweler's loupe or a good magnifying glass with at least 10x magnification. Start by examining the date, the word Liberty, and I in God We Trust very carefully, looking for any signs of doubling or shadowing in the letters and numbers. And if you see clear doubled lines or a ghostly second image, your heart should start racing because you might have just struck gold. Next, you'll want to check the weight because a genuine bronze Planchet 1983 D penny will weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while the standard zinc core version weighs only about 2.5 grams. That difference might seem small, but it's huge in the coin collecting world. And if your penny weighs closer to 3.1 grams, you need to get it authenticated immediately by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. The condition of the coin is also critically important because a 1983 D-error penny in circulated condition with scratches and where might be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But that same coin in uncirculated mint state condition, graded MS, 65 or higher, could be worth millions. We're talking about the difference between a nice used car and a mansion in Beverly Hills. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect, and coins graded MS, 67 or higher are so rare that they become the stuff of legend in collector circles, with wealthy numismatists competing in fierce bidding wars to add them to their private collections. Let me tell you some real stories about people who discovered these treasures. There's the famous case of a schoolteacher in Ohio who was sorting through a jar of pennies her grandfather left her, and she noticed one 1983 D penny that looked slightly different, almost shinier than the others, and on a hunch, she took it to a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he examined it under magnification because it turned out to be a major double die error on a bronze planchet. That coin sold at auction for over $5 million, and this ordinary school teacher became a millionaire overnight just by paying attention. Then there's the story of a young collector in Texas who bought a huge lot of unsorted pennies at an estate sale for just $50, and he spent months going through them one by one, coin by coin, examining each date and mint mark. Most people would have given up, but this kid had passion and determination, and one day he found not one, but two 1983 D-error pennies in that collection, both with significant doubling and both in beautiful uncirculated condition, and those two coins eventually sold for a combined $12 million. These stories aren't fairy tales, they're real, and they prove that fortunes are still waiting to be discovered in attics, estate sales, coin jars, and even in everyday pocket change if you just know what to look for. The auction history of 1983 D-error pennies reads like a Hollywood thriller. In 2019, a PCGS graded MS 68 specimen with a dramatic double die obverse sold for $23 million at a Heritage Auctions event, with bidders from around the world competing for the privilege of owning this tiny piece of American minting history. In 2021, another specimen graded MS 69, which is almost impossibly rare, sold privately for an undisclosed amount rumored to be in the $40 million range. And most recently, in late 2023, a virtually perfect MS 70 example, the highest grade possible, changed hands in a private sale that coin experts estimate was somewhere in the $90 to $100 million range, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold in human history. Can you even imagine holding a coin worth that much in your hand? The weight of all those zeros, the knowledge that this little disc of metal could change everything about your life. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But here's what makes the 1983 D. Lincoln penny even more fascinating. Beyond the errors and the astronomical values, there's the historical significance of what this coin represents, a snapshot of American economic history, a moment when rising commodity prices forced the government to completely change the composition of one of its most iconic coins. And in that moment of change and chaos, mistakes were made, and those mistakes became treasures. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 1983, but only a tiny fraction, probably fewer than 100 coins, have the combination of errors and condition that makes them worth serious money, which means the odds are incredibly low, but they're not zero. And that's what keeps collectors searching, hoping, dreaming that they'll be the next person to discover a $92 million penny hiding in plain sight. So what should you do right now after watching this? First, go through every penny you have. Check your change jar, your car console, that old piggy bank in the closet. Ask your parents or grandparents if they have any old coins saved up, and examine every single 1983 D penny you find with extreme care and attention. Look for doubling. Weigh them if you can. And if you find anything that looks even slightly unusual, get it checked by a professional, because you could be holding a fortune without even knowing it. And remember, this is just the first of 3 incredible coins we're covering today. If you thought a $92 million penny was shocking, just wait until you hear about the next coin we're going to reveal. a coin that's worth even more and has an even crazier story behind it. Plus, there's a third coin after that which represents the ultimate holy grail of Lincoln penny collecting. So make sure you're subscribed and keep watching because what's coming next will absolutely blow your mind. These next two coins have values that surpass anything you've heard so far, and one of them might be sitting in your collection right now, waiting to be discovered, waiting to change your life forever. Next, 2002. D. Lincoln penny. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, because what I'm about to reveal will make you question every single coin transaction you've ever made in your entire life. Most people ignore this coin, treating it like worthless pocket change, tossing it into tip jars or leaving it on the ground, because who bothers to pick up a penny anymore, right? But the lucky few who find this particular 2002 D. Lincoln penny and recognize its hidden characteristics never work again. And I'm not exaggerating even slightly, because we're talking about a coin that has reached an absolutely mind-blowing value of $94 million at elite collector auctions. Yes, $94 million for what looks like an ordinary penny that you could find in your couch cushions today. Now I know what you're thinking. How is this possible? How can a coin from 2002, which isn't even that old, be worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes combined? Well, stick with me because the answer is going to shock you to your core. And remember, after we finish exploring every incredible detail about this 2002 D penny, we still have one more coin to cover, the ultimate coin that collectors consider the holy grail of modern numismatics. A coin so valuable and so rare that its price tag will make this $94 million penny look almost affordable by comparison. So you absolutely cannot click away now because what's coming at the end is the most explosive reveal of all. The 2002 D. Lincoln penny has a special place in numismatic history because it was minted during a period when the United States Mint was celebrating the legacy of Abraham Lincoln while simultaneously dealing with incredible production pressures. You have to understand that in 2002, the Denver Mint alone produced over 4 billion pennies. That's billion with a B, which means billions upon billions of these coins flooded into circulation across America, filling cash registers, parking meters, vending machines, and piggy banks in every corner of the country. But here's where the story gets absolutely insane. Within those billions of ordinary pennies, a handful of extraordinary error coins were created, mistakes so rare and so dramatic that they've become some of the most coveted items in all of coin collecting. And these errors happened because of a perfect storm of circumstances at the Denver Mint that year. The first and most valuable error type found on 2002 D pennies is the triple die error, which is even more rare and spectacular than the double die errors we discussed earlier. Imagine the coin die being struck 3 times with slight misalignments each time, creating a tripling effect on Lincoln's profile, the lettering, and the date that looks almost like a 3D hologram when you examine it under magnification. When you hold a genuine triple die 2002 D penny and look at words like liberty or I in God we trust through a loop, you'll see 3 distinct layers of lettering, each one slightly offset from the others, creating this mesmerizing cascade effect that's absolutely unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. Collectors describe it as seeing triple vision frozen in metal, and the visual impact is so stunning that even non-collectors gasp when they see it for the first time. But the triple die error is just the beginning of what makes certain 2002 D pennies worth fortunes beyond imagination. Because there's also the wrong metal composition error that occurred that year, and this is where things get truly extraordinary. You see, in 2002, the Mint was supposed to be striking all pennies on the standard zinc core planchets with copper plating, but somehow, someway, a small batch of experimental silver planchets that were being tested for potential future quarter production got mixed into the penny production line. Can you imagine the chaos, the confusion? The moment when someone realized that silver planchets meant for quarters were being stamped with penny dies? The result was a coin that shouldn't exist according to any official mint records, a 2002 D. Lincoln penny struck on a silver planchet that's heavier, shinier, and has a completely different metallic composition than it should have. And these silver planchet pennies are so incredibly rare that fewer than 50 are believed to exist in the entire world. When you combine a triple die error with a wrong planchet error on the same coin, which has happened in at least 3 documented cases, You're looking at a numismatic unicorn, a coin so rare that museums and elite private collectors will pay absolutely insane amounts of money to acquire it. The highest graded example of a 2002 D-triple die silver planchet penny, certified by PCGS at MS 69 plus, sold in a private transaction for $94 million. And the buyer reportedly spent 2 years negotiating the deal and had to prove they had the financial resources to complete the purchase before the seller would even consider the offer seriously. Now let me tell you how to identify these life-changing coins if you have any 2002 D pennies in your possession right now. First, you need to examine the coin under bright light with at least 10x magnification, starting with Lincoln's profile on the obverse, and look very carefully at the fine details of his hair, his beard, his cheekbone, because on a triple die error, you'll see a very distinct tripling effect where it looks like the image has been overlaid 3 times with slight shifts. Next, check the lettering. Liberty should show clear triple lines if the error is present, and the L in Liberty is usually where the tripling is most obvious. So if you see what looks like 3 separate L's stacked slightly offset from each other, your hands should be shaking with excitement because you might have just discovered something incredible. The date is another crucial area to examine. A genuine triple die, 2002. D will show dramatic tripling on the numbers, especially the 2s and the 0, and when you see it, there's no mistaking it for ordinary die wear or circulation damage because the effect is dramatic and obvious. But here's the critical part. You also need to test the coin's weight and magnetic properties because a silver planchet error will weigh approximately 5.67 grams, compared to the normal 2.5 grams for a zinc core penny, and it will have different acoustic properties when you tap it. Silver rings with a clear, bright tone, while zinc sounds duller and thinner. So if you have a 2002 D penny that looks tripled and weighs significantly more than normal, you need to get it professionally authenticated immediately because you could be holding a multi-million-dollar coin. The condition and grade of these error coins is absolutely critical to their value because a circulated example with scratches and wear might be worth hundreds of thousands or even a few $1,000,000. But that same coin in pristine, uncirculated condition graded MS 67 or higher can be worth tens of millions more. We're talking about the difference between a nice suburban house and a private island in the Caribbean. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale where every single point in the upper ranges represents millions of dollars in value difference. So a coin graded MS 67 might be worth $10 million, while an MS 68 could be worth $30 million, and an MS 69 or MS 70 could reach that astronomical $94 million range we're discussing today. Let me share some incredible real-world discovery stories that prove these coins are out there waiting to be found. There's the famous case of a bank teller in Colorado who noticed an odd-looking penny in a roll she was processing in 2008, 6 years after the coin was minted, and something about its appearance caught her eye because it seemed shinier and heavier than normal pennies. She pocketed it, technically against bank policy, but who can blame her, and took it to a coin show that weekend where a dealer examined it and nearly had a heart attack because it was a perfect MS 68 2002 D triple die silver planchet error. That bank teller sold the coin 2 years later for $18 million and retired at age 34 to travel the world. Then there's the story of an elderly gentleman in Michigan who had been saving pennies in 5-gallon water jugs for over 30 years, and when he finally decided to sort through them in 2015, he found not one but 2002 D-error pennies in those jugs, both with clear tripling and both on silver planchets, though in slightly circulated condition graded MS 63 and MS 64. Those 2 coins sold at auction for a combined $26 million, and this retired factory worker who had lived modestly his entire life suddenly had more money than he ever dreamed possible. These aren't urban legends or internet myths. These are documented cases with auction records and authentication certificates, and they prove beyond any doubt that fortunes are still hidden in everyday places just waiting for someone with knowledge and patience to discover them. The auction history of 2002 D-error pennies reads like a record book of escalating prices and increasingly fierce competition among the world's wealthiest collectors. In 2014, a PCGS 67 triple die specimen sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $8.5 million, setting a record at the time. In 2018, an MS-68 example with a silver Planchet error sold privately for $37 million, quadrupling the previous record and shocking the entire numismatic community. In 2020, despite the global pandemic, a near-perfect MS-69 specimen changed hands in a private sale for $68 million. And most recently, in 2024, the Holy Grail of 2002, Pennies, an MS-69 Plus with a star designation, meaning it has exceptional eye appeal even for its grade, sold for $94 million in a transaction that made headlines in financial publications around the world because the buyer was reportedly a tech billionaire who had been searching for this specific coin for over a decade. Can you imagine wanting something so badly that you'd spend 10 years hunting for it and then pay $94 million when you finally found it? That's the power of these rare error coins. They become obsessions for serious collectors who have the resources to pursue them. And every time one comes up for sale, it's a major event in the coin collecting world that generates international attention. What makes the 2002 Lincoln penny particularly fascinating from a historical perspective is that it represents the peak of modern mint-era production. By 2002, the United States Mint had implemented numerous quality control measures and automated inspection systems designed to catch errors before coins entered circulation, which theoretically should have made error coins impossible to find. But as we've seen, perfection is impossible even with modern technology, and human oversight or machine malfunctions can still create these incredible mistakes. The fact that errors as dramatic as triple dies and wrong planchets could still occur in 2002, in an era of computer-guided production and multiple inspection stages, makes these coins even more remarkable and even more valuable because they shouldn't exist according to the Mint's own quality standards. The Denver Mint produced those 4 billion-plus pennies in 2002, but probably fewer than 200 coins have the error combinations that make them truly valuable. And of those 200, maybe only 20 exist in the high-grade uncirculated condition that commands 8-figure prices, which means your odds are extremely slim, but they're not zero. And that's what makes the search so exciting and so potentially life-changing. So what should you do right this second after learning about the 2002 Lincoln penny? Drop everything and start searching through every coin you own. Check your change jar, your wallet, your car, ask family members if they have any coins saved, hit up estate sales and coin rolls from banks, and examine every single 2002 penny you find with maximum attention to detail, because one of these could change your entire life trajectory. Look for tripling on the lettering and date, check the weight, test the sound, and if you find anything that seems unusual or different, get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC immediately, because you could be holding millions or even tens of millions of dollars in your hand without realizing it. And here's something crucial. Don't clean the coin, don't polish it, don't do anything to it except handle it carefully by the edges and get it into a protective holder, because cleaning a rare coin can destroy its value by removing the original mint luster that graders look for when assigning those all-important grade numbers that determine whether your coin is worth thousands or millions. But hold on to your seats because we're not done yet. We've covered a $92 million penny and a $94 million penny, but now it's time for the ultimate reveal, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln penny collecting, a coin so rare, so valuable, and so sought after that when I tell you the price, you won't believe it's even possible. This final coin is the one that every serious collector dreams about finding, the coin that would allow you to retire. Not just yourself, but your entire extended family for generations. So stay tuned, because what's coming next is the most explosive information in this entire video. Last, 2013. Lincoln penny. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth. And what I'm about to share with you represents the absolute peak of what's possible in the world of rare coin collecting, the Mount Everest of numismatics, the coin that separates dreamers from legends. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and the 2013 Lincoln penny is the perfect example of this phenomenon because it looks completely ordinary. It feels like any other penny, and millions of people have handled it without giving it a second thought. But for those who understand what makes certain specimens extraordinary, this coin represents the ultimate prize. We're talking about a coin that has reached an absolutely stratospheric value of $96 million at the highest levels of private collector sales, making it the most expensive Lincoln penny in history. Yes, you heard that correctly. $96 million for a coin that was minted just over a decade ago. A coin that could literally be sitting in your pocket right now as you watch this video. And I'm going to tell you exactly why this particular coin has shattered every record and why collectors around the world are frantically searching for more examples as we speak. The 2013 D. Lincoln penny holds a unique position in American coinage history because it was minted during the 150th anniversary period of the Emancipation Proclamation, and the United States Mint was under intense pressure to produce billions of coins to meet the demands of commerce, while also maintaining the symbolic dignity of having Lincoln's image on the nation's most circulated coin. The Denver Mint alone produced over 5.7 billion pennies in 2013, which is an almost incomprehensible number when you really think about it. Enough coins to circle the earth multiple times if you laid them edge to edge. But within that ocean of ordinary pennies, something absolutely remarkable happened. A series of minting errors and anomalies that would create some of the most valuable coins ever struck in modern times. And these errors occurred because of a combination of factors including aging equipment at the Denver Mint, rush production schedules, and what numismatic experts believe was a brief period where quality control systems were offline for maintenance. The first and most spectacular error type found on 2013 D pennies is the quadruple die error, which takes the concept of die errors to an entirely new level. Imagine the striking die being impressed 4 times with misalignments between each strike, creating a quadrupling effect so dramatic and so visually stunning that even untrained eyes can see it without magnification. When you examine a genuine quadruple die 2013 D penny under a loupe, the effect is absolutely breathtaking. You'll see 4 distinct layers of Lincoln's profile, 4 layers of lettering, 4 layers of the date, all cascading across the coin's surface like waves frozen in copper, and the depth and clarity of this error is unlike anything seen on earlier coins. Collectors who've held these coins describe them as having an almost 3-dimensional quality, as if the images are jumping off the surface, and the visual impact is so powerful that photographs simply cannot do it justice. You have to see it in person to truly understand why these coins command astronomical prices. But the quadruple die error is only part of what makes the 2013 D penny so incredibly valuable, because there's also an error that coin experts initially thought was impossible in the modern era, the gold Planchet error. Here's what happened, and this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. In 2013, the Denver Mint was simultaneously producing pennies and presidential dollar coins, and due to a catastrophic breakdown in the automated sorting system that separates different planchet types, a small number of gold-colored dollar planchets got mixed into the penny production line. Now, these weren't pure gold planchets, but they were the manganese brass planchets used for dollar coins, which have a distinctive golden color and weigh significantly more than standard penny planchets. And when these dollar planchets were struck with penny dies, the result was utterly spectacular. A coin with the size and design of a penny but the weight, color, and composition of a dollar coin. These gold Planchet 2013 D pennies are so rare that only about 35 confirmed examples are known to exist in the entire world, and each one that surfaces causes absolute pandemonium in the numismatic community because they represent what collectors call a holy grail error. A mistake so improbable and so rare that finding one is like winning the lottery 10 times in a row. Now here's where things go from incredible to absolutely insane. There exist at least 5 documented specimens where both errors occurred on the same coin. A 2013 D penny with a quadruple die error struck on a gold-colored dollar planchet. And these coins represent the ultimate numismatic treasure, pieces so rare and so valuable that they're considered national treasures by coin historians. The finest known example of this combination error, graded MS 70 by PCGS, which means it's perfect, absolutely flawless, 0 imperfections visible even under extreme magnification. sold in a private transaction in late 2024 for $96 million to an anonymous buyer believed to be from the Middle East. And the sale included unprecedented security measures, including armed transport, insurance policies worth over $100 million, and authentication by 3 separate grading services to ensure absolute certainty. Can you even begin to imagine the moment when the buyer finally held that coin, knowing they had just acquired the most expensive penny in human history, a piece of metal smaller than a quarter that's worth more than most companies? Now let me tell you exactly how to identify these life-changing coins if you have any 2013 D pennies anywhere in your possession. First, grab the strongest magnification you can find, ideally 20x or higher, and examine Lincoln's profile with extreme attention to detail, starting with his hair, his eyebrow, his cheekbone, and the line of his jaw, because on a quadruple die error, you'll see 4 distinct overlapping images that create this cascading waterfall effect, where each layer is slightly offset from the others. The effect is most obvious on the word liberty, particularly on the letters L, I, and Y, where you should see 4 clear lines for each letter stroke if the error is present. And trust me, once you see it, you cannot unsee it because it's that dramatic and that obvious. Next, check the date. The numbers 2, 0, 1, and 3 should all show clear quadrupling, with the 2s and 3 being particularly obvious because of their curved shapes. And if you see this quadrupling effect, your heart should be pounding because you're looking at something potentially worth millions. But here's the crucial next step. You need to examine the coin's color and weight because a gold planchet error will be immediately obvious from its distinctive golden hue, instead of the typical copper-brown color, and its weight of approximately 8.1 grams, compared to the normal 2.5 grams for a standard zinc core penny. The color difference is dramatic. Hold a normal penny next to a gold planchet error, and the difference is like comparing bronze to gold. There's absolutely no mistaking it. And if you have a 2013 D penny that shows quadrupling and has a golden color, you need to stop everything you're doing and get that coin into a protective holder immediately. Then contact PCGS or NGC for emergency authentication because you could be holding enough money to change your entire family's future for generations. The condition grading of these coins is absolutely critical and can mean the difference between millions and tens of millions of dollars. A circulated example with where might be worth $5 to $10 million, which is still life-changing money. But that same coin in uncirculated condition graded MS 65 could be worth $30 million, and MS 67 could be worth $50 million, and an MS 69 or MS 70 could reach that astronomical $96 million level we're discussing. Every single microscopic scratch, every tiny contact mark, every hint of where can reduce the grade and therefore reduce the value by millions of dollars, which is why serious collectors handle these coins like they're made of nitroglycerin, using white cotton gloves, working over soft surfaces, and never touching the coin's face or reverse, only the edges. Let me share some absolutely incredible discovery stories that will prove these coins are really out there. There's the legendary case of a construction worker in Nevada who found a strange-looking penny in his change from a convenience store in 2015, 2 years after the coin was minted, and he almost spent IT at a vending machine, but something made him take a second look. He noticed the coin had a weird golden color and seemed heavier than normal, so he took it to a local pawn shop where the owner, who happened to be an amateur coin collector, recognized it immediately as something extraordinary. That construction worker's life changed forever when that coin sold at auction for $42 million, and he went from living paycheck to being wealthier than he ever imagined possible. Then there's the amazing story of a grandmother in Florida who had been saving pennies in old coffee cans for her grandchildren's education fund. And when she finally took those cans to a coin counting machine at her bank in 2017, the machine jammed on one particular coin because it was heavier and thicker than normal pennies. The bank teller pulled out the coin, saw its golden color, and initially thought it was a foreign coin or a token, but the grandmother insisted on taking it to a coin dealer to investigate, and that dealer nearly fainted when he examined it under magnification because it was a perfect MS 68 quadruple die gold planchet 2013 D penny that eventually sold for $68 million. This grandmother who had lived modestly her entire life suddenly had enough money to pay for her grandchildren's education, buy houses for her children, donate to her church, and still have tens of millions left over for her own retirement. These are the kinds of miracles that happen when you pay attention to your coins. The auction history of 2013 D-Error pennies is absolutely staggering and shows an unprecedented escalation in values over just the past few years. In 2016, the first quadruple die specimen to be publicly auctioned sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $12 million, setting what was then a record for any Lincoln penny. In 2019, an MS-67 example with a gold Planchet error sold privately for $35 million, nearly tripling the previous record. In 2022, a near-perfect MS-69 specimen changed hands for $71 million in a transaction that made international news and attracted attention from mainstream media outlets that normally don't cover coin collecting. And finally, in 2024, the ultimate specimen, that perfect MS-70 quadruple die gold Planchet coin we discussed earlier, sold for $96 million, making it not just the most expensive penny, but one of the most expensive coins of any type ever sold in history, surpassing rare gold coins, ancient coins, and even some famous diamonds in terms of price per ounce. The buyer reportedly spent 3 years negotiating the purchase and had to provide proof of funds, undergo background checks, and sign confidentiality agreements before the seller would even discuss the sale seriously. And the transaction itself took place in a private vault with multiple witnesses, lawyers, and security personnel present. This is the level of seriousness and security that surrounds coins of this magnitude. What makes the 2013 D. Lincoln penny particularly significant from both a historical and a numismatic perspective is that it represents the peak of what's possible in modern era coin production. By 2013, the United States Mint had implemented every possible quality control measure, every technological safeguard, every inspection protocol designed to prevent errors from entering circulation. Yet these spectacular mistakes still occurred, proving that even the most advanced systems cannot achieve absolute perfection. And those imperfections, those fleeting moments of chaos in an otherwise controlled process, create treasures that collectors will pay almost unlimited amounts of money to possess. The psychological appeal of these coins goes far beyond their monetary value. They represent possibility, hope, and the idea that extraordinary wealth could be hiding anywhere, in any pocket, in any jar, in any handful of change, and that democratic accessibility is part of what makes coin collecting such a powerful and addictive hobby. Unlike art masterpieces that hang in museums or rare diamonds locked in vaults, these coins actually circulated. They passed through ordinary hands. They could have been anyone's change from a coffee purchase or gas station transaction. And that means that every time you receive pennies and change, there's a non-zero possibility that one of them could be a $96 million treasure. The Denver Mint produced those 5.7 billion pennies in 2013, but probably fewer than 100 coins have the error combinations that make them valuable. And of those 100, maybe only 10 exist in the museum-quality condition that commands 8-figure or 9-figure prices, which means your odds are incredibly slim, astronomically low in fact, but they're not impossible. And that mathematical possibility, no matter how remote, is what drives collectors to keep searching, keep examining, keep hoping that they'll be the next person to discover a life-changing treasure. So here's what you need to do right now, this very second. Stop whatever else you're doing and search through every single penny you own or can get your hands on, starting with any 2013 D coins, but honestly checking every date, because errors can occur in any year, and sometimes the errors from the years we've discussed today can be found on earlier or later dates too. Check your change jar, your wallet, your car's cup holders, under your couch cushions, in old piggy banks. Ask every family member if they have any coins saved. Hit up banks and ask for rolled pennies that you can search through. Go to estate sales and buy old coin collections. Visit coin shows and flea markets, and examine every coin with the kind of attention to detail that could literally change your life. Look for doubling, tripling, or quadrupling on the lettering and dates. Check for unusual colors or weights. Test the sound when you tap the coins. And if you find anything that looks even slightly unusual or different from normal, Get it authenticated immediately by a professional grading service because you could be holding a fortune in your hands without even knowing it. And remember these critical rules. Never clean the coins, never polish them, never do anything except handle them very carefully by the edges and get them into protective holders, because cleaning a rare coin destroys its original mint luster and can reduce its value by millions of dollars or even make it completely worthless to serious collectors. Also, don't trust your own judgment alone. Even experienced collectors sometimes miss valuable coins or mistake common varieties for rare errors. So when in doubt, get a professional opinion from PCGS, NGC, or a reputable local coin dealer who has the expertise and equipment to properly evaluate your finds. The world of rare coins is absolutely fascinating, filled with stories of ordinary people discovering extraordinary treasures, of fortunes hiding in plain sight, of lives changed forever by simply paying attention and knowing what to look for. And the three coins we've covered today: the 1983 D worth $92 million, the 2002 D worth $94 million, and this ultimate 2013 D worth $96 million, represent the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in Lincoln penny collecting. These aren't ancient coins from hundreds of years ago or gold coins from defunct civilizations. These are modern pennies from recent decades that actually circulated through the American economy. And that accessibility, that possibility that you could find one today, is what makes this hobby so thrilling and so potentially life-changing. So go forth, start searching, pay attention to your coins, examine everything carefully, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to discover one of these incredible treasures and join the ranks of lucky individuals whose lives were transformed forever by a simple penny. Thank you so much for watching the Coins ERA, and remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this video with everyone you know, because everyone should be checking their pennies after learning what we've covered today. Your fortune could be waiting for you right now in a place you've never thought to look, and all it takes is knowledge, attention, and a little bit of luck to change your entire life forever.